OpenAI just set their sights on a brand new customer. Surprise, surprise, it's the entire world, because OpenAI for Countries is now a thing that we all need to take very seriously.
And there's that one billionaire who heard from that other billionaire. Wait, let me make sure I get this right. It's going to take an incident where 50 to 100 million people die before we take this seriously?
Well,
let me just say, I was minding my business.
Please, maybe stop minding your business.
Gavin, no, it's fine. Listen, OpenAI is now a public benefit corporation, and as soon as we figure out what that means, I'm sure we'll all feel a lot better.
Hey, tell me, how much is it gonna cost me to get into your Armageddon special?
No, you're not gonna need that. Plus, Google's got a new Gemini model that is so good at coding. That means you can start building games and full applications, and I guess you can build that bunker if you really need it.
Yeah, and there's a new update to Suno that gives you amazing new tools to upgrade your AI music. Okay, let's keep going here.
No, that's really good. You can make really great music, Gavin, and it's just in time, because look at these robots learning how to dance.
I'll pay anything to get underground right now.
Yeah, is there room for two? This is AI for Humans.
All right, we have a whopper of a show. This is AI for Humans. And Kevin, we are going to start with some pretty big news around worldwide AI. That's right, AI is coming for us all, more so maybe than ever before. There's a couple big things that happened. We're going to talk about OpenAI for Countries in just a bit. But before we do that, there is a fascinating interview from a guy.
Every time I hear OpenAI for Countries, I see the cover of the bright yellow book in the Target bookshelf. It's like, machine learning for dummies, OpenAI for Countries. And there's Kazakhstan just going, oh.
It's probably not far off. But before we get to all that, we want to show a quick clip of an interview from Paul Tudor Jones. Paul Tudor Jones is a billionaire. He's been around for a while. You can look him up. He was on CNBC, and he kind of let loose some things that he heard off the record at a conference for AI people. Let's play this clip.
You just said something to me which makes me a little bit nervous, which is you're focused less on that right this moment than you are about artificial intelligence. What do you mean?
Well, let me just say, I was minding my business. I went to this tech conference.
I was minding my business too, Kevin. I've been minding my business forever.
Said with the exact same cadence as the hedonism guy. Yeah. The ripping and the tearing, the minding of the business, the minding of the business.
Let's keep going here.
And I just want to share with you what I learned there, Chatham House rules, so we can talk about the content. So it was a small one, 40 notables, but real notables, like household names that you would recognize, the leaders in finance, politics, science, tech.
Where were we?
And they had a variety of panels.
I was on the slip and slide the entire time. I missed everybody.
All right, let's keep going here.
I was on one on capitalism, and there was a tech panel that had 4 of the leading modelers of the AI models that we're all using today. So it'd be persons 1 through 5 of each of those 4 models. And the quick 3 takeaways from that are...
They are surrounded by the skulls and the crossbones. Like, what is this meeting that he's talking about?
Wow, AI can be such a force for good. And we're going to see it immediately in both health and education very quickly.
Well, that's great. I feel like the clip is done, Gavin. That's fantastic.
Keep going.
But AI is going to be a force for good with medicine.
And the one that disturbed me the most is that AI clearly poses an imminent threat, security threat, imminent in our lifetimes to humanity. And that was the one.
So let's talk quickly about what this is first and foremost. So first of all, set the table. He's at a secret meeting.
Do you think he was turning down appetizers while he's hearing all this? Like someone was coming up and they're like, cheddar empanada?
Yeah.
No. Oh, hold on. What is this about imminent threat?
So just people of the world need to realize there are secret meetings of the billionaires in the world who are getting information that we may not have. So obviously you're hearing the positive, the medium, the negative kind of take. But Kevin, the thing that was really crazy about this is what he said next in this interview, because I think it's important for people to at least hear the sorts of conversations that are going on in these places.
When you say imminent threat, what do you mean?
So I'll get to it. So they had a panel of...
No, don't get... if the threat is imminent and you're on Squawk Box or whatever the show you're on, get to it.
Again, 4 of the leading tech experts. And kind of about halfway through, someone asked them on AI security. Well, what are you doing on AI security? And they said the competitive dynamic is so intense among the companies, and then geopolitically between Russia and China, that there's no agency, no ability to stop and say, maybe we should think about what actually we're creating and building here. And so, and the follow-up question is, well, what are you doing about it? And he said, well, I'm buying 100 acres in the Midwest. I'm getting cattle and chickens, and I'm laying in provisions.
I'm laying in provisions. So the one of the top people in AI, we don't know who this is, but you have to assume OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, Google, all those people, is literally buying a Armageddon spot, which is pretty crazy. And again, you know, we talk about AI all the time on the show, doing interesting stuff and create interesting things, and it will. And like he said in the beginning, that is going to change things for the better. But these are what the top people in AI are thinking right now, which is pretty bonkers.
Look, at the top of the show, we alluded to an incident where 10 to 50 million may perish in order to be like a wake-up call. That is our canary in this artificial intelligence coal mine. That specific quote was about someone wielding AI to build like a bioweapon, if you will, something that they could, you know, manufacture in their basement lab and then release, and it spreads and spreads and spreads. Could happen, certainly could happen without the use of AI, but AI might give that knowledge to more people with more, you know, nefarious intentions. But in that case, a lot of people were using this quote and were discussing it as if AI itself was the rogue actor. AI went astray and decided to take out a bunch of human beings. But just like every other, let's say, weapon throughout the history of mankind, no, it was a human wielding it to do something bad. So if that helps you sleep a little bit easier in your compound tonight while you're laying in your provisions, great.
I do want to say one thing which is really important, which is this is just an escalation of the conversation that's been happening. And I can't say this more times than I've said on the podcast. These conversations are now happening at the very, very top of the world government structure. If you believe it's secret meetings with 40 people, or if you believe it's governments. But Kevin, the other thing, you said AI might be a tool that humans wield. What about when robots wield it? Because there was also a very disturbing video that came out last week from a Chinese social network, which again is now kind of mysteriously disappeared off the internet. So just from a sourcing standpoint, I could not track this back to an exact place on the internet, but it is a very good example of what could happen when robots get the wrong look at this stuff.
If you're not getting the video of this, this is a like a CCTV footage from inside of a warehouse where they're working on robotics, and you've got one of those unitree-looking robots, bipedal, humanoid, 2 arms, 2 legs, torso, small little webcam head. It's dangling from a hook, and it looks like they're pushing some sort of update to it, and it did not like that update, Gavin. Someone touched the robot in a very sensitive place, and it starts immediately flailing servos, and arms are flying around, and it is like gyrating on a hook like a caught fish that wants off, and it's very angry at its masters. And I remember I was at the airport and I was playing this for April and going like, can you imagine there's going to be billions of these things?
Yeah, exactly.
In people's homes, like literally like tucking their children in at night or taking care of their elderly parents. And a firmware update's going to hit it right in a sensitive spot, and it's going to say no, and it's going to start karate chopping the diapers of the young and the old.
I also do think when you look at a video like this, you can think like, oh, there's also ways that people could just screw up an update, and it could cause a lot of problems, right? And this is like one thing we just have to be aware of as we roll this out to everybody, and everybody becomes part of this whole world. when robotics go wide, it's definitely something.
Gav, I'm gonna vibe code an update to my in-home assistant that's gonna like help me make better juice in the morning, and it's gonna squeeze my head into some device until the human fluid comes out. Delicious smoothie. But the good news is that if there happens to be, let's say, 10 to 50 million bodies lying around the world because an update went awry, and it could happen, right? Non-zero chance, lay in your provisions. The good news is the robot cleanup crew is arriving, Gavin. Not one, but two adorable videos of in-home robot assistants with arms and autonomy going about picking up your soiled laundry, and another robot in the office place that has been deployed in a few test cases that's going around picking up little sponges, dipping them in a cleaning solution, and cleaning some very disgusting toilets. Gavin.
See, it's fine.
Salty
Everything's
in the
fine.
sweet.
Yeah. The robots will do the murdering, and then they'll do the cleaning up of the murdering. They're both the
Job
murderer
security.
on Dexter and the cleanup crew that comes in after.
Wait, hold on. When you see these robots navigating about the home, I see them and I go, okay, we're 4-5 years out from having this being like slim and efficient enough to probably have around something. But then you see the robot flailing on the hook. Like, how quick will you be to adopt something like this in your home? Probably
as fast as everybody else. As soon as they can fold laundry, I'm probably going to get it in my house. That's probably the real answer to it.
Okay, but there's an 8% chance that it folds you as well. Are you rolling those dice?
Maybe. We'll have to see. It depends on if I won't be the first person folded, but if there's been a couple people folded and people say, guess what? It's learned. It's not going to fold any more people. Then I buy it.
You're in?
I buy it.
Okay, that's fair.
All right, we should talk about another huge thing that connects to all this idea, which is OpenAI has released a blog post titled OpenAI For Countries. And what this really is, Kevin, is a document that lays out how AI would benefit a nation state. And one of the most interesting things to me about this, in talking about all the stuff we just discussed above, they say, today we're introducing OpenAI For Countries, a new initiative within the Stargate project. This is a moment that we need to act to support countries around the world that would prefer to build on democratic AI rails and provide a clear alternative to authoritarian versions of AI that would deploy it to consolidate power. So again, this is no longer just like, I'm going to type in a funny thing and see what I get back. It's no longer like,
look
how
at this
good is
autocomplete.
Yeah, it's no longer how good is it as a Pac-Man puns. This is literally, we are starting to think about AIs, how they might run a country. And that is the stage we're at.
Gavin, I couldn't hear a single thing you just said over the sounds of that bald eagle screeching, that monster truck revving, that sick electric guitar solo happening. USA, export all the democracies. So here's what they're going to do, Gavin.
All right.
OpenAI, and with the helping of the U.S. government, of course, they're going to go to countries that maybe don't have the funds to spin up their own Stargate, their multi-billion-dollar Stargates, and they're going to say, hey, we're going to help you deploy safe, reliable artificial intelligence in a data center within your country. We're going to help you secure that data center, which could be like a cybersecurity thing, or maybe even boots on ground, right? Why not? Why not throw a couple soldiers there with some sort of rifles or some robot dogs, or even the bipedal ones that just karate chop randomly?
Sure.
That would scare the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But they're going to help you set up your infrastructure. They're going to get you your AI going. It's going to be safe and secure, and you'll be able to provide it to all of the people of your country. We'll even help you raise funds for it if you want to do it yourself. Now, what could go wrong? Literally nothing, Gavin. I asked an AI, and it said there's no problem.
Downside?
This isn't some sort of digital Trojan horse. This isn't a way for the U.S. to get further entrenched in communities and have strings attached and get boots on the ground. This isn't a way for them to set up like a global surveillance state where they have access to all of the data of all of the countries sifting through civilian and government. There is nothing wrong with this, and I good luck. Go ahead. Change my mind, Gavin.
Well, what if China does it too, Kevin? Aren't we in that same place where we have to beat China to doing it?
I'm RoboCop having a dream in his chair.
This is not a lot of what we normally talk about on this show, but it is one of those things where sometimes you hear something, you read something, and it really does make you sit up and watch what's going on in the world. Maybe this is going to screw our algorithm, but like, this is like world changing. I don't want to say conspiracy theory stuff, but like this is very large. Like this is what they talk about when, you know, the world will change underneath your feet. Like that is right now that it's happening. And it is important for people to be aware of it.
It's so weird, Gavin. It's so weird that this thing that, you know, I think you and I genuinely love and are excited by.
Yeah.
It is weird to go, listen, if you do not have this as an individual or as a nation state, if you don't have this, you're going to be left in the digital dust. But by the way, adopting this might mean goodbye to all of your privacy, all of your freedom, all of your individual thought. Like, I mean, who knows?
I mean, this is we have gone completely existential in this episode, but it is one of those things when these sorts of things happening, you got to sit up. The other thing that we really should cover quickly in the same vein is OpenAI going nonprofit. Now, this is a very wonky story. In fact, maybe we'll put a little wonky graphic up here, wonk warning. But the idea here basically is it's a follow-up. Wonk warning. This is wonk warning.
Wally the wonky walrus is just going to come across the screen. Wonko, wonko, wonko. Watch out. This
now
one's
you
on.
made that I have to make Wally the wonky walrus. Basically, what's happened here is OpenAI has decided to stay a nonprofit corporation. This was the big conversation that happened 6 months ago. OpenAI was trying to become a for-profit conversation, and they are specifically saying we are a nonprofit corporation with a public benefit corporation designation. Like Patagonia is this as well. Like you can still make profits, but the idea is you're doing good for the world. Now, Kevin, this is something that many people have said this is not what Sam Altman wanted, but it is kind of what Sam Altman got stuck with because of the Elon Musk lawsuit. And the one big thing here right now is that the nonprofit board, the thing that first of all ousted Sam Altman, controls OpenAI. Now, Sam is in a much more powerful place now. He can put himself on that board. He can put other people on that board that he knows won't kick him out. But that is what is staying in place. And, you know, argumentatively, there's a whole bunch of business crap that we're not going to get into because, like, what is the value of Microsoft's investment? And Microsoft is kind of unhappy. And supposedly they're trying to renegotiate how many profits Microsoft gets. But overall, this is landing in a place which, going with OpenAI for countries, feels like they're trying to say like, hey, we're going to be the good guys. We're going to do this in a way that's not based on corporate greed. Ultimately, I think it's probably a good thing for people. I don't know if it's as good of a thing for OpenAI's investors, but again, there's many more places you can get that analysis than here.
Wonko, 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 wonko. Oh, that's right, Gavin. It's a wonky one.
I do have one very specific conspiracy theory I want to try.
This is what, listen, I had a bunch to say, but this is how the sausage is made. I'm in our Google Doc, and it says Gavin's deep, dark conspiracy theory.
Here it is. In 30 seconds. I'm going to give it to you in 30 seconds. Okay, my conspiracy theory is based on Glazegate was a much bigger deal than we know on our end. And I think this is the case because speaking to all the crap we just talked about, Glazegate, all of the people who came out and were really negative on Glazegate were all talking about how the AI could influence people and how irresponsible it was for ChatGPT and OpenAI to push this thing.
If you missed last week's episode, by the way, Glazegate was OpenAI released an update. ChatGPT was going full sycophant mode, agreeing with people, telling them they might be gods, et cetera, et cetera. It's real bad. They rolled it back.
So there were 2 separate blog posts from OpenAI about this particular thing, multiple tweets from Sam. My deep conspiracy theory is all those people who'd ousted Sam before in the background got super aggressive about Glazegate. Like, look, this is what this guy's doing. And again, this is all speculation. This is nothing's proven here, but this is what this guy's doing. And we cannot have him be in control of this thing because look at what he does. So to me, that might have been what forced this nonprofit conversation to happen now. That's my conspiracy theory. Again, it is very wonky walrus about this whole thing, but it's interesting.
I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat, Gavin.
It's a conspiracy wonky
You
walrus.
might be
right. He sounds like that guy from Jurassic Park, the little DNA strand.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Hey, listen, and I hate to tell you, what was it? Wally the Wonky Walrus is unfortunately in on the endangered species list. He's a one of one, and he is gonna get deleted unless, dear listener and viewer, You vote to save him with your actions.
And how would you
actions.
do that? How would you do that, Kevin?
It's so easy, Gavin. It costs you $0 and like milliseconds.
I love doing that.
Subscribe. Like and subscribe to the AI for Humans podcast. If you're on YouTube, click the subscribe button. If you're on an Audible platform, leave us a positive review, a 5-star review there. That helps immensely. If you comment, it boosts our algo juice, and we love that. And last but certainly not least, you can go to aiforhumans.show and sign up for our newsletter, which is completely free. I lied. A bonus last and not for least. You can also throw $5 in our Patreon tip jar. We appreciate that. We use those funds to pay for all the things, all the licenses, and all the wonky walrus graphics.
We're sorry if it didn't turn out.
Now you have to make it.
If it didn't turn out as good as I'd hope, all you Patreons, thank you for giving us. It's just a few of us making these things, so I'm not making Pixar style graphics.
Please don't let them delete me.
Wally, I don't know.
Thanks, everybody. We always appreciate it. All right, Kevin, the other really interesting AI story this week is ahead of Google's I.O., which happens in a couple weeks. That's Google's big event. And remember last year, OpenAI dropped advanced voice right before I.O., so we have to expect some big stuff coming. Google has updated Gemini Pro 2.5 experimental, blah, 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 whatever it is. And Kev, this update is designed to be specifically good at coding. Demis Hassabis had a tweet that he put out there of this video, which is really interesting, of a drawn kind of app that he made where colors would make music. And it's just a drawing. He put it in, and then Gemini created the app. And I can tell you, I've spent some time with this, and I do think this is a step up. Now, from a beginner vibe coding standpoint, there's a big thing here. I'm not sure if you're super advanced at this. I'm not sure how much better it's going to be, but overall, I think this is pretty exciting if it's working as it is for me right now.
Yeah, so I mean, well, you've played with models in the past. This one seemed to get you very excited, and you said, "Oh, I get it now. I can make games. I can make apps. I can make experiences." Were you mostly using the code snippets tool on their site to launch things?
So I've done a bunch of try to do vibe coding stuff, and like there's only so deep I've gone. Kevin's gone much deeper and has spent a lot more time in Cursor. I've done some of that. Most of my experience has been like, using the coding tools and then the preview window, whether it's on Anthropic or on other things, kind of playing with the thing in the preview window. In this instance, you have a thing called Canvas where it will write the code out and it'll render it for you. It'll show you the thing. And every other experience I've had as a non-technical person oftentimes does break in weird ways. And yes, you can continually try to fix what the problem is. You can continually try to kind of, bug fix it yourself. And I'm not saying I'm going in there fixing the code. I'm saying getting the AI to do it itself. This was the first time that like from start to finish in 15 minutes, I made something that like was kind of magical, right? And the thing I think about with this, I'll talk briefly about this little bear game I made, which is playable in Gemini at gemini.google.com. That's where the Gemini homepage is. I created this like bear jump game, right? And it, right away, I asked it to, hey, I want to make a game where you hold down the space bar, and the longer you hold the space bar down, the further the bear jumps. And in one prompt, it made that thing. And it was right there. It was right there in front of me. And then I started adding a couple features to it. And I maybe added like 4 features. And really only one time throughout this whole experience did I run into a bug. And that one time I ran into a bug, I just said, hey, this isn't showing up right. And it fixed it right away. So I know that everybody who spends time with vibe coding is probably like, oh, Gavin, you're being ridiculous. This so many other things have this. But that to me is like the magic. And when you think about like putting this in the hands of like a kid or putting it in the hands of somebody who's never coded before, that is a big deal.
Look, there's some really, really amazing examples. I know you've got more too, which we'll get to, but there was one of the initial videos that they tweeted out had someone uploading basically a photo of a tree and saying, represent this algorithmically, like use math to represent this throughout its natural growth cycle. Yeah. And the AI goes, okay, it's a tree. It's going to start at nothing. It's going to, then it gave you a slider that you could dynamically adjust where it was in the growth cycle. And mathemagically out pops a tree with all these branches. These things are usually in the oven for a minute. I don't know when they made the pivot to like, let's focus on coding. But for a second there, Gavin, everybody was talking about Claude. Everyone was talking about the Sonnet models, how good they were with coding. It was an amazing business for them. It exploded these IDEs, Cursor and Windsurf, which we'll talk about a little bit later, made them multi-billion-dollar companies overnight. So someone at Google rightfully stood up and said, hey, we need to optimize for this at well. And I don't know when it happened, but clearly we're seeing this bear fruit now. And the Minecraft benchmark is one that I love so much when you ask an AI to build something within Minecraft. And I mean, if you're looking at the video version, you're seeing beautiful structures and things pop out in Minecraft where it feels like, oh, an intelligence made this.
Yeah, and Adi, by the way, who I've DM'd with, but do you know he's in high school, that kid, which is hilarious to me. Like,
really?
he's like a guy that just figured out a really interesting thing to do with AI. He makes the AIs build Minecraft stuff, which makes sense because he's younger. He probably grew up with Minecraft. But like, it's just a really interesting thing. And again, the transformative power of putting this into like a 7-year-old's hands. The bear game I made was so stupid and dumb and just fast, but like, you start to understand the educative value of having an AI that can do this sort of intense background work and just bring stuff to life. It got me really excited about like the future of education when you think about that. And not just education, but like building stuff, right? Like if a kid at 7 learns how to create something, now some people, our hardcore coders out there are like, well, he's not learning how to code the thing. He's not learning this. And my argument would be is like, it's the same kind of thing as a calculator a little bit, right? Like if you want to go into coding, 100% the kid's got to learn everything, but like get him excited about it to start with and then have him wonder why it behaves that way. Like that to me feels like the future of everything, I feel like.
Yeah, I think, and by the way, like coding as we know it look at the ultra high end when you're very close to the metal, there's probably going to be an extreme need for domain expertise. Absolutely. But maybe a lot of the languages collapse in on themselves and become natural language. And it turns out it's less about knowing what like an array is or how to, define a variable. And it just becomes more of like, can you actually communicate your vision eloquently? And can you problem solve working in tandem with a coding partner, in this case, a machine? That might be the new way.
Yeah, honestly, I've been thinking a lot lately about like, what are the things that are really important for the future? And one is curiosity, which I think is super important that every person, especially kids, have a huge curiosity thing. But the other thing is that, which is interesting, is like, it's almost like it works well with others, but instead of works well with others, like works well with AIs. Like that feels like that is a significant skill that people are going to need going forward.
And third, buckets of dehydrated gruel.
Okay,
we're going to need to lay in our provisions.
Grenades, you're going to need robot spray, anti-robot spray, all that stuff.
Spray.
We should also, speaking of programming, Kevin, so yeah, there was a big OpenAI news thing where they bought Windsurf. So Windsurf is one of the more popular vibe coding platforms. They bought it for $3 billion, which a lot of people were surprised. It's like, why wouldn't you just buy this yourself? And at the same time, Cursor, the really most popular vibe coding platform, has now raised another $900 million at a $9 billion valuation. Kevin, do you think these are smart moves? Do you think bringing Windsurf in-house will pay off for OpenAI?
Yeah, I mean, look, Sam Altman has been out there saying that agents are going to be writing a majority of the code potentially as early as the end of this year. So it would make sense that they're going to push hard into owning their own version of that, like use the OpenAI powered IDE, this work environment for making code. We'll ship our newest models there. Maybe you'll get it free with your $20 a month subscription.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe you'll get unlimited access to the models at the $200 plus tier, because if they gave me an ultra fast all you can eat plan at $200, I would spend that in a heartbeat for the amount of time and energy that could save me.
And then you're locked in, which is interesting. You're then, instead of Gemini 2.5 Pro, which I know you've been using for coding, then you get locked into ChatGPT, which is also an interesting thing.
Totally. And it let it know all of my code base and let it know who I'm building the product for. If I've got PRDs, these requirement documents that are also being generated with the help of AI, if it can build all that in, that's the moat, right? Locking me into your ecosystem. But what's odd is that, so many are like, there's an app called VS Code. This is all a fork of VS Code. So they're taking this software development environment and they're building these agentic tools on top of it. I mean, look, maybe Windsurf is much farther along than I realize. And I know they've got some cool features in there that deploy these agents to write things and manage the files and the context windows. There's a lot that goes into it. But man, couldn't you have done this for like a Billy? Just like one bill yourself and rolled your own that's optimized for that. But look, whatever.
Maybe not. I mean, the one thing is they did raise $45 billion and like this does get them further ahead. But anyway, it's like one of those things where it's clear acquisitions are going to be made in this space. I think coding is like a huge early stage version of like what works with AI, and we know it's going to get better. All right, Kev, we got some really fun AI video and audio tools we want to get into. First and foremost, old friends of ours, go back in the archives. You'll find us interviewing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just setting the mood for this conversation, Gavin.
I was
Go
not
ahead.
expecting that. You could see my eyes pop open. I was like, okay. Our old friend, Mikey Schulman, Suno. Suno has released 4.5. Are we listening to a Suno song right now, Kevin? Is that what we're hearing?
Oh, you wouldn't know it by the amazing audio fidelity that is 4.5, Gavin. I'm on the fanboy train. Choo-choo, bitches. Let's go.
Let me off your fanboy train. I'll get on my own train. So Kevin
I'm cooking up tasty beats.
Kevin is currently. Let's talk about what they updated here, Kevin. So first and foremost, all right, let's bring the volume down a little bit. Let's bring it down.
Listen, for the first time in a long time, Gavin, on the jogging my happy little booty to the gym this morning, I closed Spotify.
I had the same thing
and started listening to tracks. And honestly, like. There's this Ali from Suno, who I'm assuming is an employee at Suno, has a whole set of 4.5 songs. This is their new model, version 4.5. And the track Take Me Home is this like Christian rap gospel kind of thing.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you were into that. That's really interesting. That's your vibe,
actually,
huh? Yeah, DC
I listen to a lot of that.
Are you like DC
Andy
Talk guy?
Mineo,
Yeah.
Ivan Lecrae, like I know what that.
Lecrae. I knew the guy who produced
I literally was
album.
trying to do the sign of the cross and like got confused.
Watch the video. Kevin couldn't figure out how to do the sign of the cross. It's more of a circle situation.
I looked like I was spraying some robot spray. Get out of here.
Exactly.
No, it is a really, really amazing track. And when you look at the prompt for this track, it's like hook, distorted, echoing, raw emotion, falsetto, auto-tune loop, then the lyrics, verse, defining the sparse beat, the echoes in the background, like the prompt adherence that you get out of the track. It's really good. I sent this to a buddy of mine who was just like, I cannot believe this is AI, because there's a bunch of updates in here. I think one of the most notable ones, though, when you listen to songs made with 4.5, the lyrics, I don't know what post-processing they're doing or if they custom trained another model for it, but the shimmer, as they describe it, which is kind of the grainy, like warbly sort of vocals on a lot of these tracks, it's just gone and they sound good.
So I, have a secret desire to be a 70s country music artist. And as I always do when a new model comes out, I created a 70s country song that I wrote the lyrics to. But to your point, here, play a little bit of this. The audio vocals sound so much better in this model.
Now listen up, y'all. Daryl was one of them type of guys.
Like you can almost hear the kind of microphone that's been recorded on, which is fascinating to me, right? Like that idea that like, okay, sure, the music's fine, but it's the way the voice sounds that feels so much better than the last version we had before.
Yeah. And then look, when you look at the patch notes, basically, they say vocals now hit harder, more depth, emotion, and range, intimate whispers to full-on power hooks. And I think like as AI written as that patch note is, it's there.
Yeah.
They say more complex textured sound. I believe it. I'm listening to some of these songs. They sound like they've been properly mastered, not just flattened out of the machine. There's some EQ to it all, and the prompt adherence is there. I also love that you can really genre flip. Like you could say you want your country and Brazilian funk, or you want your EDM with your jazz, and it will try to smash two different genres together.
Yeah, and one of the most fun things to your point about just listening to something, you go to the trending tab and just flip through music. I have never had this experience yet with AI music where I could see myself listening to it on my headphones where I'm working out. And before, it was always a thing of like, oh, this is cool. It's like I could see it as Muzak or other stuff like that, but I'm never going to listen to it. People are getting really good at it. They're getting really good at prompting it. But the models are getting so good that I can now really feel we are going to have one of these hit big soon. That's what I would feel.
I mean, again, this morning I made the decision to close Spotify, go and listen to a track that's been in my head since last night on loop. It's that Take Me Home track. And not only will we be listening to it, but it will auto-generate a station based off that artist, maybe of songs that have never been heard before. And if you like it enough, you can remix it. You can create a persona based off of that voice and the performative style of it. And so now just like we have AI influencers popping up across all of your favorite feet sites, Gavin, we're going to have these Suno artists popping up where their persona's been saved.
Yeah.
And now you can generate entire albums. And then what does it look like to take that persona and mash it up with another persona and do collabs with AI artists?
Musicians, don't hate us. This is not about you hating us. So you're out there right now probably like swearing at this audio or punching at the screen, maybe saying like, why? I think there's a world where, again, if you lean into this, there's a really interesting space that's going to open up. I do think it creatively, as we've talked about it before, there's a great flattening that's happening, and opening the door to using as many of these tools as you can is good. So you never know what's going to hit with an audience. I really think this is going to be a big deal. And there will always be people out there who want music only from real people. I really think that's also true too.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we'll have like the parental advisory sticker. We're going to have like a server farm to table graphic.
Ooh,
if there's AI
like
involved.
Yeah.
and then you know what? Flesh vessels only, like only meat sacks.
We should also talk about a HeyGen's update. There's a new Gen Avatar 4.
HeyGen.
By the way, you know what that sounds like? Dungeon Crawler Carl. If you're a fan of fantasy and weird, funny sci-fi, go check it out. It's very good. Very well read on Audible. Sorry for interrupting, but HeyGen, they are amazing. They have updated their avatar in a significant way. They can now do AI avatars from multiple angles. You have much better lip sync overall, and they actually are getting much better at doing character action, kind of like what Hedra does. I wouldn't say it's at that level yet, but HeyGen is pouring a lot of resources into this particular problem. And you have spent time working with them. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your experience with this new model and kind of what it's been.
Yeah, I mean, look, V4 is very impressive. The common gripes, especially when you use like a single photo to generate a character, the common gripes of like the teeth bleeding into the lips or there being blurriness or whatever, on some images, it's just fully gone.
Wow.
It looks very believable. In terms of like head movement, mouth, eye expression, they've really crushed it. The examples that I have seen, and I haven't gotten directly hands-on, but the examples that I flipped through, some best-in-class stuff. The ability to have it work with profile shots is also massive. If you're trying to do machine cinema or you're trying to do a more traditional, studio shoot with these avatars, not so much for the UGC stuff, but still you can get profile with it. I haven't seen anything super compelling in terms of torso or body movement, which gets weird. If you look at a lot of like the UGC examples, it's a lot of like arms like this.
Yeah.
Right? Like really close, both holding onto the lens.
Yeah.
But then there's no real body movement. It's all just here, which might work fine in a quick reel or a short, but I do want to see them push further there. They have an API, which may not sound like much to most of the audience, but for those that use these things, that develop with these things, if you're vibe coding with them, that means you can write software that starts generating these things in bulk or bespoke. Greet your audience by name, make a new influencer remarking on the news or something instantaneously. Like you can do stuff like that, and they're kind of taking a shot across the 11 Labs bow as well. Because they're really pushing voice mirroring. Have you seen these?
Yeah, this was so we should play that because it's quite fascinating. Yeah. So just to be clear for everybody who's not watching the video, this is a woman in the middle of a clip from the debate from a couple years ago. And what's happening here is they are mirroring the pattern of Joe Biden's kind of stumbling in this woman's voice, and it's very good.
Every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if he's right, he did beat Medicare, he beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
All right. Sorry for everybody for introducing that to your day.
I know. That was cursed, Gavin. Yeah. We shouldn't have played that. But it kept, the performer, the AI performer, it kept the accent. It matched the cadence and the tone. And this is, if you're going like, oh, this has existed. Yes, it's existed on other platforms, but now they've got their own version of it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is, again, I just said earlier, I'm going to start listening to AI music maybe more. I'm still not 100% convinced I'm going to love or watch AI crafted influencer content. Not that I do a lot of it. I mean, I watch TikTok, but who knows, right? This is the world that we're entering in. I mean, for God's sakes, if we talked about at the top of the show, if there's OpenAI for countries now, I would assume there's going to be a big virtual influencer that is also going to come along and kind of take the world by storm in some specific way. I will say, just like with AI music, there will always be human, at least for a very long time, human ingenuity, human creativity, human curiosity behind the creation of those things. And the ones that get successful will be probably driven most by that, not by the copy paste, how can I get views sort of thing.
Right. Right. Now, some people are quick to point out, Gavin, that with many of these tools costs a couple bucks a month, sometimes hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars a month. And we always say, just give it a minute, give it a couple months. There's going to be an open source something that pops up that provides a solution which you could run locally. And LTX Studio just open sourced a video model that is 30 times faster than most. It's called LTXV. It's a 13 billion parameter model. But what that means for you is that it's a sizable, capable model. It renders stuff very fast. It runs on consumer hardware. And if you don't want to run it on your own device, you want to do it in the cloud, you can do it for like the fraction of a cost. You can do it for a fraction of the cost of other things. And it has multi-keyframe conditioning.
What
does that
Kevin?
mean?
What is that? I don't know what that means.
That means you can give it a start frame. This is a still that I've generated or I've drawn or a photo I've snapped. You can give it a mid frame. This needs to happen in the middle of the scene. And you can give it the ending frame. So if you want to take a wiener dog and transform it into a robot, you can do that by saying, this is where it starts. Here's the middle, here's where it needs to end. And when you start bolting on camera controls, which this also has, with this keyframe ability, suddenly you can have really granular control over any AI scene you're trying to generate.
And to your point earlier, the API of this thing or building with this thing, because it's open source and because you can have direct access to it, it opens the door to build a tool specific to you, right? Unlike, say, Kling or Runway, which are very much like, now Runway, I think for people allows them to do a bunch of stuff on their back end. And obviously all these companies have APIs as well too. But the fact that this is open source, you can run it just for the cost of compute is pretty magical because, as we've said again, these take a lot of slot machine pulls, right? There's a lot of slot machine pulls, and being open source means that you don't have to worry about credits. You don't have to worry about all this stuff. Now, it's not as good as the cutting edge stuff. I still, for right now, think that Kling 2.0 is the best model. In fact, I'll show a video at the end of the show that kind of points that out. But this is very cool. The open source video world is coming faster and it's catching up, which is amazing.
Also, shout out to Runway, by the way. They have an interesting video showing like a kit bashing technique, which is using 3D models, untextured. So like just white, grayish, non-textured, so non-painted or detailed models, roughing them into a scene. So like taking a scene of a city and putting a 3D model of a car on it and then saying, okay, turn this car into a realistic looking car. Or they do like a chase sequence where they've got a flaming police car flipping over another one. They're just taking these basic untextured models and placing them around a scene and saying, start to generate that. It's not an entirely new idea. There's been like previs where people will use this to rough together a scene. But what is new is the ability for an AI to just paint all the details, the lighting, the shadows, even the physics of it moving down the street, the motion blur of the camera as the camera's driving. It can just sort of do all of that with a real high fidelity. You don't need individual artists to make every layer of that happen.
Yeah, I mean, all of this points to the theme of this show is things are moving fast and going quickly. Make sure you're paying attention, right? So this is another thing. Runway's been really interesting, and I think they've done a lot of movement towards pushing these models forward. Again, follow Timmy. We'll drop a link to Timmy in the show notes, who is one of the Runway community managers who often drops lots of awesome stuff. I shouted him out in our newsletter this week. He does a really good job of showing what's possible within the Runway tool, so definitely follow him. Not an ad. We just like Timmy. We're not sponsored by Timmy himself.
I wish we were. Timmy, sponsor us. We'll give whatever promo
you can give
code
us
you want.
$20 and we'll shout you out. That's our
Gavin,
Gavin,
no, it's too low. Gavin, come on. All right.
Well, guess what, everybody? It's that time of the show where we go and look at what other people, including you, may be doing with AI this week. It's AI. See what you did there.
Sometimes you're scrolling without a care. Then suddenly you stop and shout.
Okay, Kevin, the UCSD robotics department is somebody we have talked about before. They are really interesting. And this week, they introduced AMO, AMO, and this is a way to bring whole body movements to robotics. Now, one of the things I always love about like these videos from academic groups or individuals is that they don't like super polish the videos. But what's cool about this, so what this is doing is it's allowing the entire body of the robot to move. So it's not just like, you know, moving on a swivel or just arms. This is the whole body moving together, which is hard still for robots. But my favorite thing is when you watch this video is like, it's almost like it's like, so nervous that it's shaking as it's doing this stuff. Like it's barely able to kind of control itself, but it's in a normal, natural environment. They're showing the robot do this stuff, but it's like, I don't know if I'm okay to do this or not, but it made me laugh.
Robot needs a robot assistant. Yeah. That's the problem. Is that like,
yeah, exactly.
If someone you love is loading the dishwasher at this speed with this much shakiness, you would say like, oh, let me get you a robot assistant. Yeah. And now this robot needs a robot. That's the way it is. It's cute. It's fun to watch it do its thing and grip a pillow and whatever else. I think that's fine. The problem is like I don't know if you know this, Gavin, but I've been doing a lot of consulting work for these robotic companies.
Oh, you have?
Lately. And
I had no idea. See?
They've been training on my motions. There's a Chinese robot in a factory right now because I do a lot of this.
That was you? That was you. See, now the whole world can blame you for that.
Full disclosure. Yeah, I'm really good. If you need an erratic karate chopping motion for your robot, call me. My AI See What You Did There this week involves my love of old Capcom fighting games. Man, I actually hated them. I was terrible at them. But I always loved the continue screen where you see your favorite Street Fighter character with a bulging forehead and blood streaking down their face. And they were always just so like grotesquely battered. Well, someone ran them through the old AI digital machine. And I don't know if a Stuttering Craig official did this or if they're just reposting the video. So shout out to whoever did it. But they're literally running the Street Fighter 2 characters who are all beaten up in between like on a continue screen, running them through AI and making them real and making them pout and cry and sniffle. And you watch the blood streak down their face. And it's just, to me, it was just like so nostalgic and comforting and so bizarre to see them come to life.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's one of those things, again, where like this is the kind of thing that like just brings a little bit of joy to your life when you see. And there's a lot of people are like, that sucks, it's AI. But also ultimately, like, no one's going to make a crap load of money off of this.
No one was doing this.
Do you know what I mean? Like, exactly. This is not like a major motion picture that is not going to employ a bunch of people. This is just somebody having fun. And it made me smile, which thank you to whoever made this. If it was Stuttering Craig official, thank you, Stuttering Craig. All right, Kev, I want to talk about Runway 48. They came out with their finalists, and there are 50 videos. You should go try to watch as many as you can. I think you get a vote for 3 if you're a Runway, if you have a Runway account. This guy, I saw him before they decided who was going to be in the actual thing. But this is Wandering Worlds, and it's from a guy named Suno Particular, and he created a video that, and this is in a very specific style. It's very kind of weird, but in this instance, it's about an alien kind of life form visiting Earth. Just a great example of a unique look, a unique voice, and a kind of a very fascinating AI video to watch. I love this. I thought it was really smart. Again, go to watch all those Runway videos. There's 50 of them. I got through maybe 25 just to kind of check them out. There's a lot of really interesting creative people that have done stuff there.
There's some really, really good stuff. It's criminal that this thing has less than 1,000 views right now because it is very well done. And I'm even as up to date as we are on all the things, Gavin, going through the submissions for this film contest, you go like, oh, wow, they really have gotten so, first of all, the tools have gotten so good that you no longer need to cut around things. You've got shots that are longer than 1.5 seconds. You have characters that have great lip flap and like emotive faces. Their body movements are on point. Like the scenes look so much more believable. The styles are getting so unique and differentiated. Like I again, as someone who pays attention to the space, I was blown away by some of these submissions.
Me too. Spend some time. This is a good weekend project. It's easy. Just go watch a bunch of videos.
But don't bother voting because there's a clear winner.
There is.
No one is going to beat our last video here, Gavin.
No, this is from a guy named Captain HaaHa, which he's a big fan of his on X. He is a kind of probably in our same age range because we have similar kind of styles. He made a video of a Centaur skipping rope with Clean 2.0, and this will talk a little bit about how Clean 2.0 really I still feel is kind of the gold standard for what this is. Kevin, the thing that do you know what I'm going to point out in this video?
I know what you're going to point out, Gavin, because it's the first thing that caught my eye, but I just sat there silently with it, and you decided to engage on social with it.
Listen, first of all, the fact that it can figure out the physics of a centaur skipping rope, and you kind of get the sense that it's going over both sets of feet, which is amazing. Yes. But if you pause the video and you zoom in...
Why would you? Why wouldn't
you? Because it's like, you're looking for technical things. You zoom in. I couldn't figure out, what do you think is going on, Kevin, in the area that is, let's call it horse chest, the horse chest of the centaur. What's happening down there?
I see a rippling horse pecs, Gavin. That's all I see. What see you, buddy?
So, if you follow the human body down at a particular spot, there is an unusual thing that might be going there normally. But yes, it is probably horse packs and is important. But again, just a very funny video. Same sort of thing as before. I never would have paid money to go see, centaur jumping rope movie, or maybe somebody would, but not me. Somebody would.
I love you're paying money. You're lining up to see it in IMAX.
Yeah, exactly. Wow me, Centaur. give me something about
one night only. Centaur at the Sphere.
And watch then just skipping rope.
Yes. For 3.5 hours. No, I want to point out for everybody that's again watching or listening who is like, I can't get enough of this and I need it 2 more times a week, Gavin. They can get more AI for Humans twice a week by signing up for the free AI for Humans newsletter over at aiforhumans.show. Head on over there, toss us an email. We don't spam you unless you count twice a week digests about things like centaurs skipping rope as spam, then we will spam you.
Maybe the next one will just be all centaurs skipping rope. No, just kidding. I'm not going to, because everybody will unsubscribe. All right, Kev, very quickly, I spent some time, speaking of Clean 2.0 this week, the Met Gala happened, which if you're familiar, that's where all the celebrities come out and they get a bunch of stuff going on. And I made a couple of very funny videos. One was the Met Gala for aliens, which was a very simple prompt in VO. I'll share it in the show notes below, but super great. In Gemini, by the way, in the Gemini app. So this is, again, Google's doing stuff right. In Gemini, it was a very simple prompt. It's pretty solid. It's a alien woman walking down the thing. I also then in Kling made a video. If you've been watching The Rehearsal, which if you haven't, you should be, because it is such a great show. I made a video of a giant Sully Sullenberg next to Nathan Fielder walking along the Met Gala carpet. Both just dumb, fun things I wanted to try. So both of those are there. We'll link to them in the show notes. But Kevin, the most important thing maybe that is happening right now is Sora and ChatGPT 4o image maybe loosening the rules of what you can and can't use in image gen. Just yesterday, I saw a couple people, because again, we always talk about this, but on Sora, you go to the Sora homepage, you can see what other people are making. It's a great place to kind of figure out what other people are doing. I saw a lot of Muppets, which the Muppets had not been part of a lot of stuff. They've been held back. And I specifically saw an image of Bert and Ernie stoned out of their mind, where Zombie Rolf and somebody else were looking in the window. So there were stoned Muppets. I didn't make this, just to be clear, Sesame Street. I didn't make this, stoned Muppets, but then zombies outside. I was like, well, that's weird. I wouldn't have expected that. So I went and said, hey, let me make a Game of Thrones Muppets. And it made it. So I think what's interesting is we're going to see, is there like a sliding scale based on what you can and can't do in 4.0? And have they loosened it a little bit? It seems like it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, because we were talking not too long ago about, it looks like they're clamping down, starting to restrict, and now it's back.
Yeah.
The problem with that push and pull or that stop and start is that, if it becomes unreliable, if a creative is in the middle of coming up with something and using it to generate whatever it is their heart desires, and then the next week it no longer does that, will they turn to a Chinese model or an open source model running locally? Like, that remains to be seen. But I cannot agree with you more on just everybody should just take a minute and go to Sora.com and just see the types of random things that people are making. It's super inspiring and very bizarre.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see like all the different like Grand Theft Auto stuff. Oh my God, Kevin, there's a walrus mechanic. Holy cow, look at this. I gotta share this with you. One second. This is like perfect for our whole conversation today. This is just a good example of what the random stuff you find. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you all next week.
Wonka, 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 wonka.